The awakening storm, the Empire's pride in the distant reaches of the Andromeda Spiral, where 3 red suns cast their crimson light across a world of black stone and silver cities. The Zephyrian Empire celebrated another victory. Their warships, sleek and deadly like metallic serpents, filled the orbital space around their capital world of Zephmar. For 600 years, the Zephyrians had carved their name across the galaxy with plasma fire and quantum torpedoes. They were warriors born, conquerors by nature, and their empire now stretched across 47 star systems. Admiral Krikstal stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Crimson Talon, watching the final preparations for what would be the greatest conquest in Zephyrian history. His scaled skin gleamed under the red light of the bridge displays, and his 4 arms moved with practiced precision as he reviewed the tactical data. The target was a small blue world on the outer edge of the galaxy, a planet called Earth, inhabited by a species that called themselves humans. The intelligence reports were clear and encouraging. Humans had gone silent over 2 centuries ago, their radio transmissions simply stopping as if their civilization had collapsed or retreated into primitive isolation. Previous Zephyrian scouting missions had detected no active defense networks, no orbital stations, and no energy signatures that would indicate advanced military technology. To the Zephyrian High Command, Earth appeared to be nothing more than a defenseless world ripe for harvesting. "Status report," Krikstal commanded, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had never known defeat. Commander Valther, his second-in-command, approached with data tablets clutched in her lower arms. "Admiral, the fleet is assembled and ready. We have 800 primary assault vessels, 200 support ships, and 50 planet crackers. Our total force includes 4 million warriors, enough to conquer 10 worlds the size of Earth." Krikstal's mandibles clicked with satisfaction. This was not just an invasion, it was a demonstration of Zephyrian supremacy. The humans would serve as an example to any other species that might consider resisting the Empire's expansion. He had convinced the High Council that Earth's silence was not a sign of strength, but of weakness. A dying civilization that would fall before their might like grain before the harvest blade. The silent planet far across the void. On a space station, orbiting Earth's moon, Dr. Sarah Chun sat in the command center of humanity's most closely guarded secret. Luna Defense Station looked like any other research facility from the outside, but deep within its reinforced chambers lay the control systems for Earth's most advanced creation. The Sentinel Network. Sarah was young for such a massive responsibility. Only 35, but she had spent her entire adult life working on the project that had consumed Earth's greatest minds for over 2 centuries. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and her clothes were practical rather than formal. She had no need to impress anyone because officially she didn't exist. The Sentinel Network was humanity's answer to a galaxy filled with aggressive alien empires. While other species built fleets and armies, humans had chosen a different path. They had created an invisible shield around their solar system, a network of automated defense platforms that could eliminate any threat before it reached Earth. The technology was so advanced that it seemed like magic even to its creators. Quantum computers that could calculate trajectories across light years, weapons that fired projectiles at near-light speed, and AI systems that could think faster than any biological mind. Sarah's fingers moved across the holographic interface as she reviewed the latest sensor data. For weeks, the long-range detection systems had been tracking an approaching fleet, and the analysis was troubling. The ships were massive, heavily armed, and flying in perfect military formation. This wasn't a diplomatic mission or a trading expedition. This was an invasion force. Dr. Chun called Lieutenant Marcus Webb from his station across the room. Marcus was one of only 12 humans who knew the true extent of Earth's defenses. "We're getting confirmation from Deep Space Array 7. The alien fleet has crossed the heliopause and is maintaining course for Earth. Estimated arrival at Mars orbit in 6 hours. Sarah nodded calmly, though her heart was racing. The Sentinel network had been built and tested, but it had never been used in actual combat. For 2 centuries, Earth's policy had been simple: stay quiet, stay hidden, and hope that aggressive aliens would look elsewhere for targets. Now that strategy was about to be tested by 800 alien warships. She opened a secure channel to Earth's Global Defense Council. This is Luna Station. Confirm status change to condition red. Unknown alien fleet approaching Mars orbit with clear hostile intent. Requesting authorization for Sentinel network activation. The response came within minutes from General Harrison, Earth's senior military commander. His voice was steady and calm. Dr. Chun, you have full authorization. Protect Earth at all costs. The Sentinel network is now active. The approaching storming the cold space between Jupiter and Mars, the Zephyrian fleet moved like a tide of metal death. Their ships were works of art as much as weapons of war. Curved hulls that reflected starlight, weapon arrays that crackled with contained energy, and engines that left trails of blue fire across the darkness. Admiral Krickstall stood on his bridge, watching the tactical display show their steady approach to the target system. "Admiral," reported his navigator, "we are approaching the 4th planet from the system's star. Our scouts report mining operations and small colonies on the surface, but no defensive installations." Krickstall smiled, his sharp teeth gleaming. "Excellent. We will make our first strike there, destroy their industrial capacity, and then move on to the primary target. I want the humans to know that resistance is futile before we begin the main assault." What the Zephyrians didn't know was that every movement they made was being watched and recorded. Hidden throughout the solar system, camouflaged as asteroids, debris, and even disguised as natural phenomena, the Sentinel network sensors were tracking every ship, analyzing every weapon signature, and calculating the most efficient methods of elimination. The network's primary AI, codenamed Watchdog, was a creation beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. It could process millions of calculations per second, predict enemy movements with 98% accuracy, and coordinate attacks across light minutes of space with perfect timing. Watchdog had been designed with one overriding directive: protect Earth and human civilization at any cost. As the alien fleet approached Mars, Watchdog began its final preparations. Weapons platforms that had remained dormant for decades came online. Kinetic interceptors adjusted their orbits. Quantum railguns began charging their capacitors. The entire solar system was becoming a trap, and the Zephyrians were flying directly into it. The moment of truth. Sarah Chun watched the main display in Luna Station's command center as the alien fleet entered Mars orbit. The ships were even larger than the sensors had indicated. The largest vessels were over 5 kilometers long, bristling with weapons and carrying enough firepower to glass a continent. She could see why the Zephyrians had conquered so many worlds. Their fleet was a testament to military engineering and aggressive expansion. "Fleet composition analysis complete," reported Lieutenant Webb. 800 primary combat vessels, 200 support ships, estimated crew of 4 million. Weapon signatures indicate plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, and what appears to be planet-cracking technology. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Planet crackers were weapons designed to shatter worlds, to break apart entire planets for easier resource extraction. The Zephyrians hadn't come to conquer Earth. They had come to destroy it completely. The communication array crackled to life, and an alien voice filled the command center. The Sentinel network's translation systems converted the harsh, clicking language into clear English. "Primitive humans of the 3rd planet, this is Admiral Krickstall of the Zephyrian Empire. Your world and your system now belong to us. Surrender immediately, and your deaths will be quick. Resist, and we will make your suffering legendary. Sarah looked around the command center at her small team, 12 humans who held the fate of their entire species in their hands. They were scientists, engineers, and analysts, not warriors, but they were the guardians of humanity's greatest secret. She took a deep breath and spoke into her microphone. This is Dr. Sarah Chun, speaking for Earth. Admiral Crickstell, you have entered our solar system without permission and threatened our world with destruction. You have one opportunity to withdraw your fleet and leave in peace. This is your only warning. The alien admiral's laughter echoed through the communication system. One opportunity? Little human, you speak as if you have the power to threaten us. We are the Zephyrian Empire. We have conquered 47 worlds. Your primitive species cannot even imagine our strength. Sarah's expression remained calm, but her voice carried a note of finality when she replied, Admiral, you are correct. We cannot imagine your strength, but you cannot imagine ours either. Sentinel Network, you are authorized to protect Earth. Eliminate the threat. Across the solar system, the Watchers opened their eyes for the first time in 2 centuries, and the galaxy was about to learn why humans had remained silent for so long. Asterisk the price of arrogance. The attack begins. Admiral Crickstell cut the communication link with contempt. The human female's words meant nothing to him. He had heard similar threats from dozens of species before their worlds burned under Zephyrian fire. He turned to his tactical officer with orders that would seal his fleet's fate. Begin the assault. Target the mining colonies on the 4th planet first. I want them to see what happens to those who defy the Empire before we move on to their home world. The Zephyrian fleet moved into attack formation, their massive vessels spreading across Mars' orbit like predators surrounding wounded prey. Plasma cannons began charging. Quantum torpedo tubes loaded their devastating warheads, and targeting systems locked onto the human settlements below. 800 of the galaxy's most advanced warships prepared to demonstrate why the Zephyrian Empire was feared across the stars. The first salvo launched from the lead vessels, a stream of plasma bolts and energy, missiles that could have vaporized a small moon. The weapons streaked through space toward the Martian colonies, their energy signatures blazing like falling stars against the red planet's thin atmosphere. They never reached their targets. The Watchers strike in the space between heartbeats. The Sentinel Network responded to the alien attack with a precision that defied belief. What the Zephyrians had thought was empty space around Mars suddenly erupted with invisible death. Kinetic projectiles, accelerated to near-light speed by quantum railguns, tore through the alien formation like bullets through paper. The projectiles were small, no larger than a human fist, but at their incredible velocity, they carried the kinetic energy of nuclear weapons. The first wave struck 12 Zephyrian vessels simultaneously, punching through their shields as if they were made of tissue paper, penetrating their hulls and detonating their reactor cores in brilliant flashes of contained starfire. Admiral Crickstell watched in horror as his mighty ships exploded around him, their deaths so sudden and violent that his sensors couldn't even track what had killed them. Shields up, all vessels evasive maneuvers. Where are they firing from? But there was nowhere to run. The Sentinel Network had been designed by the finest minds humanity had ever produced, and it had been built with one purpose: to eliminate any threat to Earth with absolute efficiency. Hidden weapons platforms, disguised as asteroids and space debris, revealed themselves throughout the solar system. They had been waiting in perfect camouflage for over 2 centuries, and now they struck with the fury of a species that would not be conquered. The invisible enemy, Commander Velther, frantically worked at her tactical station, trying to identify the source of the attacks that were systematically destroying their fleet. Admiral, I'm detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system, but they're using some kind of advanced camouflage technology. Our sensors can't get a lock on their weapons platforms. Another wave of kinetic projectiles struck the fleet, and this time they were followed by something even more terrifying. Energy beams that seemed to bend space itself. The beams, fired from quantum cannons that manipulated the fabric of reality, sliced through Zephyrian vessels like swords through silk, cutting their mighty warships in half with surgical precision. Krikstal realized with growing horror that his fleet was fighting an enemy they couldn't see, couldn't track, and couldn't escape. Worse, the attacks were perfectly coordinated across light minutes of space, striking with timing that should have been impossible. No biological species could coordinate such attacks. The humans had to be using some kind of advanced artificial intelligence. All vessels, fall back to the outer system. Emergency jump to hyperspace. He commanded, but even as he gave the order, he knew it was too late. The network's response DR. Sarah Chun watched the battle unfold on Luna Station's tactical display, with a mixture of awe and horror. The Sentinel network was performing exactly as designed, but seeing it in action was both magnificent and terrifying. The alien fleet, which had seemed so overwhelming just minutes before, was being systematically dismantled by humanity's invisible guardians. Watchdog is coordinating strikes across 17 different weapons platforms, reported Lieutenant Webb, his voice filled with amazement. Response time is less than 3 milliseconds between target acquisition and elimination. The AI is predicting enemy movements and intercepting their escape routes. The Zephyrian ships that tried to flee found their paths blocked by perfectly placed kinetic barriers, streams of projectiles that created walls of destruction in space. Those that tried to jump to hyperspace discovered that their navigation systems had been infiltrated and corrupted by quantum viruses, leaving them stranded and helpless. Sarah felt no joy in the destruction, only a grim satisfaction that Earth's defenses were working as intended. She opened a communication channel to the surviving alien vessels. Admiral Krikstal, you still have time to save what remains of your fleet. Order your ships to power down their weapons and prepare to withdraw from our system. The alien admiral's response was filled with rage and desperation. What are you? What kind of monsters hide behind invisible weapons and artificial minds? Fight us honorably. Sarah's reply was calm and final. We are the species you tried to exterminate, Admiral. We are the humans who chose to survive. The final moments Admiral Krikstal stood on the bridge of his dying flagship, watching as his proud fleet was reduced to burning wreckage around him. Of the 800 vessels that had entered the system with such confidence, fewer than 50 remained, and those were damaged beyond repair. His dreams of conquest, his empire's plans for expansion, all of it was ending in the cold space around a red planet, whose name he had never bothered to learn. The Crimson Talon shuddered as another kinetic projectile punched through its hull, and Krikstal knew that his ship would be next. He had seen the pattern in the attacks. The humans were being methodical, eliminating his fleet ship by ship with mechanical precision. There was no anger in their assault, no desire for revenge, only the cold efficiency of a predator removing a threat. Commander Velther approached him, her scaling darkened with fear. Admiral, the humans are offering us one final chance to surrender. If we power down all weapons and navigation systems, they will allow one ship to escape and carry word back to the Empire. Krikstal looked at the tactical display, seeing the last remnants of his mighty fleet scattered like broken toys around Mars. Pride warred with survival instinct in his mind, but in the end, his duty to his species won. Someone had to warn the Empire about what they had found in this quiet corner of the galaxy. Send the message to all remaining vessels, he said quietly. Power down weapons. Prepare for surrender. And Commander? Yes, Admiral? Tell them that we found the humans. Tell them that Earth is not what we thought it was. Tell them that some species choose to survive by becoming something more dangerous than their enemies ever imagined. The Silent Return, the single Zephyrian vessel that was allowed to escape, limped away from the Sol system, carrying the most important message in the Empire's history. The humans had let it go deliberately, knowing that word of their strength would spread throughout the galaxy and serve as a warning to other potential invaders. Dr. Sarah Chun stood in Luna Station's command center, watching the tactical display as the last alien ship disappeared into hyperspace. Around Mars, the wreckage of the Zephyrian fleet drifted in silent orbit, a monument to the price of underestimating humanity. Sentinel network returning to standby mode, reported Lieutenant Webb. All weapons platforms resuming camouflage protocols. The system is secure. Sarah nodded and opened a channel to Earth's Global Defense Council. General Harrison, this is Luna Station. Threat eliminated. Earth is safe. The general's voice carried relief and pride. Outstanding work, Dr. Chun. Casualty report? 0. Human casualties, sir. The Martian colonies were never touched. The Sentinel network performed exactly as designed. As the command center returned to its normal quiet routine, Sarah looked out through the observation window at the blue marble of Earth hanging in space below. For 2 centuries, humanity had chosen to remain silent, to hide their strength, and hope that the galaxy would leave them alone. But when that strategy had failed, they had been ready. The Watchers were still out there, invisible guardians scattered throughout the solar system, waiting patiently for the next threat that might dare to approach Earth. And in the depths of space, the message was spreading. Humanity was no longer hiding, and the galaxy would never underestimate them again. The silence around Earth continued, but now it carried a different meaning. It was not the silence of weakness or fear, but the quiet confidence of a species that had learned the most important lesson of all. Sometimes the greatest strength lies not in what you show, but in what you keep hidden until the moment it is. Needed dot in the ruins of metal and dreams that circled Mars, the galaxy had learned that some sleeping giants are best left undisturbed, and that the quiet blue world at the heart of the Sol system was protected by guardians who never slept, never tired, and never forgave those who threatened their home. Asterisk.